You drink a beer, you walk around, you hit the button, and you might end up with some cool patterns. What up, everybody? Jason from JTV Live, reporting from sunny Gulfport, Florida. Please come and visit us. Don't think about moving. Beautiful day out. I'm just doing a little bit of work around the house, and I decided today I'm gonna do a quick review on my 12-volt lighting I have around the house. I was just walking the dog the other day, and I was thinking, man, the streets are finally clean for Medallia. But we had another storm. This is kind of an opportunistic review here. I don't always like to review everything I buy because the first weekend you really don't know how long it's gonna last or if it's even gonna live up to the manufacturer's claims. I gotta say though, after 2 storms where the water was flooded up above where the lights are, these things are battle tested. I know there's a bunch of y'all out there that want to see some more Monty videos. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. This bad boy got flooded too, so we'll be doing kind of like a ode to Vice Grip Garage, seeing if she'll make the drive. Hurricane Idalia brought the water right to the bottom of the step I'm standing on. This was just a little weak ass flood, only really surrounded the whole house in about 6 or 7 inches of water. All kidding aside, dude, we were spared by like 1.5 inches. These lights were completely submerged. Now I did have a little bit of a heads up, so I unplugged the power supply. This time I didn't unplug them, they ran the whole time. I was gone taking care of my dad who just had a surgery during this storm. I would have loved to see the yard because I guarantee you these things were lighting up in the water. It was probably quite a sight. So this is what the lighting unit looks like. And the first thing you'll notice is look how cattywampus that is, you know? And at first I was like, man, that's some thin metal, but I gotta say these things have been hit by mowers, stepped on by the people that put new windows in the house, and you just bend it right back. And I've bent them so many times where I'm like, this is the time where it's going to snap, and they don't. And then this is how they wire in. And dude, am I the world's shittiest electrician or what? I just cut these ends. I should have maybe terminated them with some tape or some wire nuts or maybe both, but that just shows you the longevity of the components in this system. So it's just some watertight connections like this. It's basically a wire tap, and then there's 2 leads that come out of this lamp. You push it in there, tighten it, and yo, that is watertight. A 12-pack of these puppies cost about 110 bucks, and it was long enough to really adequately light the 60-foot length of the front of my house. And of course, you can get deals if you buy more. But I would stick to just this brand that I bought because a lot of them look alike, but you know how Amazon is. Might be something in the connectors or something that might make these better. So be sure to check out the links in the description below to buy these exact ones. There's a bunch of you out there probably saying, sweet Jason, those lights are awesome. I can stick a stake in the ground, but what else is needed to get them working? And I gotta say, the system is pretty straightforward. Really, all you need is some 12-2, kind of like they call it lamp cord, enough to go across your job, those lights, and then you do need a power supply. And really when it comes to the wire, any brand will do. Just make sure it's for outdoor use. You need 2 conductors. I would say maybe you can go with 14 gauge, but running a long length like this, you are gonna draw kind of some amperage on the system. So go with a nice 30-12 gauge wire. Of course, the bigger spool you buy, the more you're gonna save. So that would kind of have to be at your discretion. The one thing I would not cheap out on is the power supply. And I will leave a link in the description below to the power supply that I bought from Amazon, so that way you don't buy it, and I'll label it don't buy. Come on, check out the power supply I run. This is her right here. And I got this bad boy from Home Depot. It's a Hamilton Bay name brand unit, and it's very heavy compared to that POS that I got from Amazon. Now, some pluses of this one that I really like is it has 3 independent channels that you can control for kind of 3 different circuits. I only used 1 for my setup because I just have them across the front. But for instance, if you wanted to have a different zone in the backyard or maybe a zone for overhead lights, and it'll power any of these 12-volt lighting systems. In fact, I do think you can adjust the voltage up a little bit, but I would double check. I'll put the link to the one in Home Depot below. It cost me about 85 bucks. Another thing that I really like about this Hamilton Bay unit is it integrates with the Hubspace app, which controls pretty much anything they sell at Home Depot. I have a ton of their light bulbs, and it also integrates with Google and Alexa, so you can have that turn them on too. So let's talk setup. Pretty much all you do is plug this bad boy in. You'll be able to get it onto the Wi-Fi, connect it to the app. You can set timers, do all that stuff. It even gives you some real-time data on the voltage draw of the whole system, which is pretty interesting because 12 volts a light, reach the capacity. And there are certain calculations, you don't want to really go above 70–80% of this. So for instance, if this is a 200 watt power supply, I wouldn't put more than 180, 150 watts worth of lights on this. And that's another reason why I really like this system, because you get that 200 watt capacity per each of the channels. So it's really 600 watts. So you can kind of play with it, maybe put a couple of your bigger lights on one circuit, a bunch of small ones on the other one. It definitely gives you options. Next connection you're gonna make is right under here. And this is where your 3 zones are. You pretty much just pull apart your lamp cord there, your 12-2, whatever you got, splice it, shove it in there, bam, zone 1. And then I just took that wire, ran it right out here, and I hit my first light. Now this one is the one, look, this thing is walloped. This thing gets mashed because it's right on the corner of the house, and I always got my little redneck pile of stuff out here. So yeah, she gets stepped on a lot. Then I simply just took that wire and I ran it from one side of the house all the way to the other in one straight run. Kind of sneaked it across the back of the stairs there, down, and then it ends up all the way right here. I think I bought a 50-foot, I don't even know what size roll I bought, honestly. And then this is literally just where I cut it at the end. Now I would put some wire nuts or some electrical tape on here. I might even do that now. And once you get your cable laid out, then you just walk around, put your lights where you want them. They got a pretty good amount of like a lanyard, or kind of like I guess a whip would be what you'd really call it. I don't know if we can say that anymore, but that's called a whip. And right here is your 2 connections. You pretty much screw the wire tap, use a little bit of like a utility knife, and you can get these to spread so you can get it like this. And when I did lay this wire, I left some extra length on it because you don't really want to dress your wires in until you go ahead and you see the setup at night and you see how the lights are casting. So you're going to want to be able to move the lights, maybe a foot or so left, right, forward, backwards, before you spend all the time trying to bury the cables or hold them down with yard staples, which I definitely recommend. I'll put a link in the description below. They make holding the wire down easy. They're cheap. You get like 25 in a $5 pack or something like that. Another thing you're gonna wanna have on deck is your pruning shears, right? Because when you're lining these up, you might find that one little leaf that's like killing your groove. Nip it out of the way, play with it. You might have to work around your plants, but you'll get a nice even spread with these lights. Now let's get to the negatives. What do I poo-poo on? And it's really only one thing, and it's not even a big deal for me, but for you techies out there, it might be. You can't change the color of these with the app. It's an old school little remote. So that does make changing the colors a little bit tricky because you hit the remote and it's gonna change the colors on kind of all the lights that RF frequency is hitting. So it makes it a little tricky to get different colors, but at the same time, you drink a beer, you walk around, you hit the button, and you might end up with some cool patterns. Now, if you're just going one color and you wanna get it to one dimness, there's 3 different dim levels on it, then you can go ahead and do that. The beauty of these lights is even though they're controlled by that Hamilton Bay, they turn back on in whatever state they were in previously. So whatever color or dimness arrangement you have, they're gonna turn off, and they'll kick back on tomorrow night, and they'll still be the same. So even though the remote, it's not super 2023, I think the simplicity definitely makes these things last. And that's just about all I gotta say about that.
You best